The interesting thing about happiness is that it's unique and different to all of us. All of us in this room are in the same room, experiencing the same conference, hearing the same speaker. Yet each of us are taking different things away. And this is a room of folks who are usually black and white about things. There's black and white, hopefully no red. But when it comes to happiness, the lens we use is actually our happiness, not reality. Now let me give you an example. You're welcome for this. Do you know who this is?
Yes.
Yes, right? I heard some yes. I do as well. Retired football player, Eric Decker. He lives here in Nashville, right? You're like, ooh, moving to Nashville. I moved to Nashville, not for this, but luckily, I had a 1 in 700,000 chance to meet him. I've been a fan for many years, and I've never watched a football game. I just saw this photo and thought, okay, tell me more. He no longer plays football. He's an entrepreneur and in the fashion industry. But I don't really care what he does. This is Eric Decker. So I am taking my 7-year-old to her first concert, Kids Bop. It's like all the songs that we listen to without the curse words. I had a great time. But what was even better is that across from me was Eric Decker. I could not focus. I am taking so many photos of him. My daughter's like, what are you doing? Just ignore me. I'm in my moment. My husband's there. He's very embarrassed. And I thought, okay, I'm a happiness maximizer. I'm going to go meet him. I was like, don't, you're going to embarrass me. I'm like, I am sitting next to Eric Decker. I'm going to go meet him. So this is what happens. I would not have worn this outfit had I known I was running into Eric Decker. Like, it might have been more what I'm wearing today or something. But here's what I'm wearing. Now, don't tell me if you disagree. But I look at this photo, and I think he's looking at me longingly and lovingly. Don't tell me anything else, because that's what I'm choosing to see. Because the lens that I use is slightly delusional, but it's a heck of a lot more fun. Now, if you're following me on Instagram, and you can, this is what you saw, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, Elle, it's amazing. I'll give you a sneak peek to what my husband's reality was. Okay, he's looking at this really cute, adorable kid. His name is Austin. Right, he's so cute. It was his first concert too. He's 3. That is my friend and her son. And she was letting me use him to pretend to be my kid so I could sit next to Eric Decker. Right? That's a good friend, y'all. You need friends like that. That I was pretending that was my kid. So the lens that I use is slightly delusional, but it's how we view the world. So this is Austin, everyone. He had a great time. Even Kids Bop said they saw him because he was dancing in the aisles. So I'm Elle Benson. I am a happiness expert, author. I've got 2 kids. My kitchen is for spontaneous dance parties. And I want to be a hip-hop rapper someday. I mean, don't I look the part? You know, you never know what's unexpected about folks. I wanted to study happiness after I started meeting with a group of women every week for, it's called book club, but I don't read the books, so it was more like a wine club for me. It was delightful. It was every Wednesday. I had curated a phenomenal group of women who were smart and beautiful and successful because I had heard you become what you surround yourself with. And I thought, I'm going to be so much prettier. This is going to be great. But what I found is that every week we'd gather together, and what I'd hear these wonderful women say is, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I have a baby. I'll be happy when I get this, this, and that. And I thought in the room, in my lens and my perspective, you have everything. I want to be like you. How am I different? Well, you are who you surround yourself with, and I started looking for things that lacked in my life. I started becoming more negative. And I thought, this is toxic. This doesn't quite work for me. So I did my MBA in organizational change. Like, how do we make organizations thrive? Which led me to strong leaders, which led me to positive psychology. So after an MBA later, and hundreds of hours of podcast lectures, books. I did have to read some books for my program. I am now a happiness expert. I've authored 2 books on happiness. The first one on the left here is for pregnant women, using positive psychology and mindfulness for pregnant women. And the one on the right is for early elementary school students. It is called Cultivating Calmness in Children, and I'm still working with my children on that. So no guarantee that it will calm your children. But for me, it is so important that we translate the research of happiness. I am a fangirl of happiness psychologists Sonia Libranierski and Martin Sigelman. Like, if they walked in, I would be as excited as Eric Decker right now, because the work that they've done is revolutionary in how we can obtain happiness. You think, okay, what is that? What are the clues? Tell me. I want to be happier. It's actually really easy. And so what I try and do is read those obnoxiously long articles and translate that into specific things that we can do together. Positive psychologists consider happiness as joy and contentment combined with the fact that life is worthwhile. That's their definition of happiness. But for me, and for y'all, we know what that means. Well, what I hate to share with you today is that 2023 is showing the lowest levels of happiness even beyond 2020. We have these tools and assets at our disposal, yet we're not using them, and we're not becoming happier. These are some of the benefits of happiness, and I would take any of them. Chronic pain, longer life, creativity, more friends, stronger social support. I will take any of these assets. But what I think is the most amazing benefit of happiness is that it is contagious. So if each of us in this room gets 10% happier, those in our home become happier, those that we work with become happier, and our communities become happier. So after today, I can't wait to see what happens to the banking industry across Tennessee. We're going to be some crazy happy people, and I am for all of that because it is contagious. So I'm not a banker, but I do a little bit of math. And this is my favorite math equation. Happiness is reality minus expectations. You've got a worksheet in front of you, and I've left some blanks. You're not graded on this. I'm not a teacher. I don't care. But I want you to write down this math equation because I've already given you the answer. Happiness is reality minus expectations. So as women, a lot of times, let's be honest, the world has disappointed us, right? I use this math equation to check in when I'm not feeling happy. What is it in my happiness that I can have ownership of? Because in most scenarios, I can't own the reality. This is life. This is what's going to happen. We have no control. But what we do have control of are our expectations. So if we're unsatisfied with ourselves, were our expectations too high? If we're unsatisfied with someone else, think of professionally or personally, did we not communicate those expectations clearly? I've led many teams and individuals, and every time I think when someone's struggling and I'm unsatisfied, my expectations were usually the problem. We have to take ownership in this. We have to take ownership in our happiness. And this is an equation I want you to continually think about how it plays into your life. So last March, my family went on vacation to Mexico. Thrilled. Once you have kids and they're off for a week, you're like, I don't want to sit at home with these kids for a whole week. I guess I'll sit on the beach with them for a whole week. This is great. So we're going to Mexico. We're on the plane. And my 1-year-old and my husband get the stomach bug. I want Mexico to get off the hook because it was not Mexico's fault. We were on the plane there. We did not drink the water. Not Mexico's fault. But I had expectations of all you could eat, all you could drink, the beach, the pool, little suntan. I didn't have a single cocktail when we were in Mexico. They passed that stomach bug to us real fast, and we shuffled in and out of the bathroom the whole time. Well, this happiness equation did not work for my Mexico trip. Awful trip. I also don't know how I could have lowered my expectations. I bought all you could eat. I thought I would eat something. Okay. But it got worse. So on the way home, Mazatlan to Dallas is a 2-hour flight. Okay. So Mom, we prepare. We're also in a foreign country. I have enough diapers and food for 2 hours. Well, we get in the air and find out there are tornadoes and we need to emergency land in another city and they're not going to let us off the plane. So it was an 8-hour flight. I was not happy. But I can understand a little bit more time than my 2 and 7-year-old. They had a great plane ride because their expectations, they hear 2 hours, 8 hours, they don't know what that means. They also made best friends with folks around them, and everyone on the plane shared diapers and food, and we survived. They were happy. So it was definitely a great lesson for me to understand that we can lower our expectations, we can have grace when things come up, because reality is going to happen. Now, I don't know that I'm going on a plane with them for a real long time, though. I'm just going to eliminate that expectation of drinks. So I want to help translate some of the research and the understanding of why some people are happier than other people. So to do that, I need to get a little nerdy for a minute. And this is a baseline happiness. We all have a flatline happiness. Okay, pretty understandable. This financial folks graphs, you got this. So now what I've done is plotted positive and negative events that happen throughout our lives. Okay, marriage, baby, new house, great things. Negative things, job layoff, car accident, divorce, and I couldn't help but put election results in there. Sometimes we don't feel good the next day after election results. But what I want you to know is that no matter what, positive and negative, we go back to our baseline. No matter what. We are terrible about knowing what will make us happy and at what level, and how resilient we are. So now I've plotted our expectations of happiness. We typically expect, I got married, why aren't I happy? Well, if you've gotten married, it's real. Baby, we expect way more happiness from that cute little thing. And then in the middle of the night, they're not so cute. A new house. But we also have outsized anxiety that negative things are going to happen to us. And we think, if this were to happen, my life would be over. No, we are resilient and we bounce back. So no matter what, positively and negatively, we go to our baseline happiness. Now, different people have different baseline happinesses. I found out on my wine/book club, my happiness level was a little bit higher than everyone else. And I thought, why? This doesn't make sense to me. Why am I different? Well, 50% of your happiness comes from your genetics. I can thank my mother for that. She's obnoxiously happy. Every bowl of ice cream that she eats, she will say, and we joke because we know she's going to say it, "This is the best ice cream ever." Right? I love her for that. She's always joyful, and it's wonderful. So 50%, I'm sorry, you can't change. There's nothing I can teach you today in this session that's going to improve your happiness at that level. But where most people put their attention and their efforts on happiness are our circumstances. So some circumstances we can't change. What race you're born into, how old you are, what family you're born into, we can't change that. Now some of our circumstances we can. My friends were saying, I'll be happy when they wanted to change their circumstances. It's not easy. That's not something we can do overnight. But we put our emphasis on 10% of our happiness if we even obtain it. And when we do, we become my hamster friend. He is on what positive psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. Scientifically proven that when you focus on your circumstances, you desire and strive for something, you obtain it, and you enjoy it. We know that end of the wheel is real quick. We don't last there very long. We adapt, and then we desire more. So I will share that my husband was on the hedonic treadmill. He became a runner. I don't understand that. He wanted to do it. He found a network of friends. They had a social community, and he was going to run a half marathon. And I supported him while gritting my teeth because I was home with the kids. Long distance running takes a lot of time. So I show up at the finish line, and he crosses the finish line, and I take a picture, and I'm like, we did it. I'm saying we because I spent a lot of time and energy on that too. And his face was just remorseful. And I thought, oh man, what's happening now? And I said, you did it, I'm so proud of you. And he literally crossed the finish line and said, I want to be faster next time. And I thought, I don't have time for this. What? But with my positive psychology background, I understood that he's on the hedonic treadmill. And a lot of competitive athletes get this way. I need to do further distances. I need to run more. I have a peer in my network who started running 50-mile races, 100-mile races, and he died at the finish line at a 300-mile race. Don't run. That's my, if you take anything from this, don't be a runner. Do my other interventions. I've been on this as well. I'm guilty. Moved to Nashville 2 years ago, and I needed a new couch. On the internet, trying to buy a couch. There are a lot of couches out there on the internet. Spent a lot of time to find the perfect couch size, color, fabric, whatever. I get it. Well, I order it. I wait forever. Like hitting send, receive all day. Like that's going to get my couch there to come faster. I get my couch. I put it in, and the dog's not allowed on it. The kids aren't allowed on it. Like it is a sacred space. Well, it didn't last too long. 2 weeks later, a friend comes over and says, I love what you've done to the place. What's new? And I thought nothing. But, oh, shoot. Spent a lot of money and energy on this couch. And I've already adapted to my couch, and I'm thinking about how else I need to improve my living room. So we're all guilty of it. But when you see someone on it, we got to get them off of this treadmill. It's dangerous, and there is no stopping. You may say, women in your profession, it's about their career. I need more. I need more. Our earlier session, we learned to say no. Maybe it's the hustle, and they're on that treadmill of needing more accolades and more praise. Get off the treadmill. Okay, so circumstances, we don't want to focus on those. We can't change our DNA, but we can keep tabs of our thoughts, actions, and behaviors. I've coined the word tabs because I'm like, oh, fun, it's a little acronym, I like it. Our thoughts, actions, and behaviors are what we can control, and that's 40% of our happiness. Now, my financial folks may say 40% is not that much. You know, if you're a parent, I would love my kids to eat 40% of the food I put in front of them. Again, the perspective and lens that I choose to use can make me happier. Eat 40% of your dinner. Well, if we focus on our thoughts, action, behaviors, we can change our baseline happiness up to 40%. So let's learn those interventions that we can do to change them. First, within our thoughts, you have the power and control of your thoughts. Right? No one else gets to determine what goes up in your head. The easiest way to happiness, cannot stress this enough, is developing a gratitude mindset. Being grateful for what we have, being appreciative to the things we have in our life. I woke up this morning going, I get to be here today. I am so appreciative that we are all here together. Gratitude can reduce stress, anxiety, depression, all sorts of amazing health outcomes. It's the easiest and simplest thing to do. On the worksheet in front of you, I want you right now to practice. I want you to write down 3 things that you're grateful for. Now, for some of you may already have a gratitude routine. And I want you to have a gratitude routine. It's not one size fits all. You have to write it down. Whatever works for you. You can have a gratitude buddy that you swap things you're grateful for each day. You text each other, hey, here are 3 things that I'm grateful for. My husband and I had gratitude jars. Those didn't work for us because his jar was fuller than mine, and then I was dissatisfied. But gratitude jars can work. I know a lot of corporate executives that put time on their calendar to be thankful on Thursdays. They put 30 minutes on there to write notes to folks. Whatever you choose to do, although my favorite, for those who are creative, there's a lot of apps and tech you can use. One was taking a photo of something you're grateful for every single day. So that was kind of fun, walking throughout the day going, what am I going to choose today? And making it something different. It doesn't matter how you do it, but the more you do it, you will change the neuroplasticity in your brain to seek out the positive rather than the negative. We are wired to be on edge and on alert in case something happens, but gratitude is the easiest intervention to happiness. I want you to take control of those thoughts. Life is a gift, and gratitude is the wrapping paper that makes it all more beautiful. We love good wrapping paper. The other thing that you have control over are the positive words that you choose to use. I am heartbroken when I hear people that I love say what they say to themselves. They say, I look in the mirror and I say this. Do you know folks who say negative things to themselves? You may do it. So imagine that your very best friend calls you. Picture her or his face, They've called you and they are defeated. They're like, I am failing at life. I'm failing at work. I'm failing at home. I'm not enough. On the piece of paper in front of you, write down what you would say to them when they reach out to you. I would never let my best friend say harmful things about themselves because I think they're amazing and incredible. But this was also a little bit of a trick. What you wrote down is in most cases what you need to tell yourself. Right? We speak different to those we love and care about than we do to ourselves. But why? Why aren't we kind and gentle to ourselves? Sometimes we might be the only ones who have the ability to be kind to us in the world that we're in. I want you to say what you wrote down to yourself. Cut it out, put it on your computer, put it on your bathroom mirror. Make it your mantra. Because you wanted to tell someone you love that, you may need to hear it. Positive words make a difference. So my first pregnancy, I was not comfortable in my body. I was like very aware of my giant belly and just all the things that came with pregnancy. And I said mean things to myself in the mirror. I wasn't comfortable. So I'm doing this positive psychology work, and now 5 years later, I'm pregnant again. Not 5 years pregnant. Oh, please no. Okay, 5 years later, I'm pregnant again. And I didn't want to. But every morning, with my big pregnant belly, I looked in the mirror and said, you're beautiful. And sometimes it was hard. The words wouldn't come out. Then after a while, I got a little sassy, and I was like, you're hot. And I was like, you look fly. And throughout my pregnancy, I had a little more fun with it. But the first few times, you're like, this feels awkward, uncomfortable. I can't even say it to myself. But I can honestly say now, in my entire life, looking back, this is when I felt the most beautiful. Maybe because my skin was tight, I don't know. But I think it's because every morning I was intent about speaking kindly to myself. And we all can do that with ourselves. I have a little 7-year-old girl. I do not want her to say things like, I'm ugly, I'm incapable, I'm worthless, anything like that. So she doesn't hear that from me. We are role models in what we do and say. So you have control of your thoughts. You have control of the positive words that you use. A marriage psychologist had with 80% accuracy, he could determine if a couple would be divorced or stay married. And it was directly related to how many positive versus negative words were used in marriage therapy. Words matter. Words make connection and build relationships and builds trust. A business consulting firm studied strategic plans of corporations and identified which corporations were going to be more successful at hitting their strategic plans. Those with more positive language outperformed those with negative language. Words matter. So I want you to use your words intently to yourself and to others. Positive thinking is the life jacket that keeps us afloat in the sea of challenges. Sometimes that's all we got. So the other thought that I cherish is humor. And research shows that humor shortens the path to connection. So we're relationship builders, everyone in this room. We want to build relationships. And we like a good shortcut. Humor is a way to do that. Humor is a good ab workout, reduces cortisol, and sends out endorphins. So a few years ago, I decided to take a stand-up comedy class. I got laughs most of the time. I get, Number one fear is public speaking, more than sharks. It's crazy. So maybe I just wanted Tuesday nights off mom duty. Maybe I wanted to build my ego a little bit because I do a lot of public speaking. But really, I was like, I want to learn to write a joke. Like, tell me how to write a joke. I want to be really funny. So, of course, first class, kid's sick, fever, can't make it. Right? Show up at the second class, and I was like, okay, I got my pen and paper. Tell me how to be funny. And they said, in 5 days, you're going on stage and you're doing a stand-up comedy routine. And I thought, I missed one class. Like, who has the cliff notes on how to write jokes? And they said, we're not going to teach you how to write jokes. This is an experimental learning sort of practice where you're going to get up, you're going to do stand-up comedy, and then we'll give you feedback. I thought, well, that's not what I thought I'd signed up for, but I'm a maximizer. I follow through with what I'm going to do. So I reached out to my friends and family and said, hey, I need help. I'm going to pinch. Most of them panicked, started sweating, and then I reminded them that they didn't sign up for it. I signed up for it. And then they're like, where can we watch you? Because we want to watch you bomb. After we got over that hump, they were so helpful. But my number one cheerleader, happiest woman in the world, is my mom. She said, I got you. I thought, you're not funny at all. What? So she went on YouTube and Googled and found videos and all sorts of things on how to be funny. I'm just amazed that she didn't fall in a dark hole of YouTube and that she used YouTube. Really impressed. Nothing was helpful whatsoever, but she cared and she tried to help me. Everyone around me was flooding me with the funniest things that's ever happened to them. Here's a joke that I've heard, or you will not believe what happened to me at the airport, where someone thought I was kidnapping a kid. And I was like, that is funny. Not my story, though. But what I was reminded of was that so many people around me were my cheerleaders. And I was thinking, okay, I've got 5 days. How can I curate content of things that are relatable to me? So I get up on stage, and I look in the audience, and it is all men over 60. And I thought, I got a whole set of pregnancy jokes. Great. I did it. It was fine. We were a class, so we provided empathy and support to each other. And I survived, as everyone does in public speaking. They then gave us 5 more opportunities to get up and share our skit, biz, whatever. I don't know. I never got the lingo, or I missed the first class. No one shared the notes. But I found that I was the happiest I'd ever been. And not because I was doing stand-up comedy and getting laughs, which did fill my ego a little bit, but it was because I spent 6 weeks reframing everything that's ever happened to me in my life into being positive. It's a lot of baggage to go through, y'all. A very interesting family. I was flooded with people who calling me, wanting to talk about funny things. A lot of really bad jokes I had to sit through and put a poker face on. But I was full of gratitude and social support. So came to the graduation, and I remembered happiness is reality minus expectations. So you get to write your bio and give it to the MC before. So the MC gets up there and says, well, our next comic is Elle Benson. She's terrible. Go to the bathroom. She's awful. You do not want to see her. Because I wanted to set the bar really low so they would enjoy my gig. But I absolutely loved it and found that all of the interventions related to positive psychology and happiness were throughout my 6-week period. I tried new things. Express gratitude, has a social connection, and reframe past experiences. So I'm not saying y'all need to do some stand-up comedy, although I will support you if you do it. But how can you bring humor and levity into your home, into work, and into your life? How can you have that mindset of, oh, I spilled coffee on myself. How can I make this a joke? It's all about the lens we use and reframing. So these are the thoughts. But, oh, there's me doing stand-up comedy. That's me telling pregnancy jokes. Okay, if you can't find humor in everyday life, you're not looking in the right places. It is there. To be funny, it's about stating what's obvious and relatable. So happiness isn't just going to come to you with your thoughts, though. It takes action. We need to be proactive in happiness. So as a happiness expert, I get asked all the time, does money buy you happiness? Now, to a certain level, below basic needs, yes, there is a threshold in which you need to provide food, shelter, and safety for your family. But then at that point, it's not exponential based on the dollars. Some of the happiest people spend their time to buy more money. No, they spend their money to buy more time. Got you. They spend their money to buy more time because when people are on their deathbeds, they're not looking for more money. They're looking for more time. So how can we use our time, our money? How can we use our money to buy more time? So is that time to do things for ourselves? So get a housekeeper. Get an assistant. Have someone do your laundry for you. Whatever you don't do. I don't do yard work. That was in my prenup. I'm not doing any of that. It's on a napkin somewhere. I swear it's notarized. What takes away from your joy? We all have things on our list. I don't want to do that. Outsource it. The more money we make, sometimes the more our time is perceived as scarce. And the more we don't savor every minute. It's more a loss of something that we can't get back. I don't want to get to that point. There was a study where they gave people an unexpected bonus. Happiness, reality minus expectations. You just gave me $20,000. I'm happy. Then they studied the happiness of those individuals. They had two options. They could keep that bonus, or they could donate it. And those who donated their unexpected bonus to other people had more long-term happiness. A lot of studies show it's the small, meaningful things that you can buy that give you more happiness. So enjoy your $8 lattes. Yes, Nashville is very proud of their lattes. If you're not from Nashville around here, yes. But enjoy that $8 latte. You're going to enjoy that more than $800 shoes. The things you can savor, the things you can experience. Take vacations, go to the movies, have dinner out with friends, spend your money on those things. So, the other action I want you to take is I want you to seek novelty in your life. Novelty translates in our brain differently than casual experiences. I have a group of moms that we get together, and when they come to my house, they're like, Elle, we'll just drink wine. I'm like, no. There will be a theme, there will be a dress code, and there will be an activity. And they're like, why do you do this to yourself? One, I love it. Two, I know that if you come to my house and we paint, you're going to have a higher happiness level, you're going to connect deeper with those around you, and you're going to remember this longer. And they're like, Elle, enough with the research. I'm like, you will have fun, okay? Come over to my house. I will serve you wine. And I did it, and I had a painting night last time the girls came over, and they said, I've never painted before. I'm like, what? Anyway, seek novelty. It's a phenomenal study that they study the GPS distance on people's phones of how far they traveled outside their local distance, and found that those people who traveled out further more frequently had higher levels of happiness. You think, what's their home life like? It's not that. It's when we go outside of our homes, we meet new people. We have new adventures. We learn new skills. So I want you to seek novelty. 2024, I'm publishing a book specifically on how to. I spend the whole year having a lot of fun because I want people to have more novelty in their life. Now, I know I'm crazy. If you don't believe it yet, you're about to. My husband and I take surprise anniversary trips every year. And everyone's like, what? But tell me more. So it sounds romantic, but it wasn't. It was us trying to plan vacations together, which was obnoxious. You know, no, I don't want the hotel. No, I don't want to go to that city. Couldn't do it. So what we decided was just delegate. You plan one year, I'll plan the next year. So I will show up at the airport or car if we're going on a road trip and find out where we're going. Now, after this session, this is where everyone asks me how I pack, so I'll just tell you right now. Number one question I get. I pack multiple weather piles. Here's the beach, here's city, here's camping, which means divorced, and here's something else. Right? Because that's not a vacation for me. I go to the car, he throws my stuff in the suitcase, and we go. Like, I legit don't pack, make a big mess of the house. But for us, it's been wonderful to spend that time planning something special for our spouse, and I show up with zero expectations. I also am like, just learn with my husband, just like lower the expectations. And I am happier. So not that all of you are willing to do that, but I challenge you if you are. Let me know. Here's a picture of my daughter and I do a splatter paint class here in Nashville. So much fun. It's glow in the dark. You turn the lights off and you throw paint on a canvas. Just the novelty of that. We will forever remember the time that we wore hazmat suits and then she ended up just painting me. Seek novelty. Don't leave life's moments up for chance. Because if you say, oh, I'll do something fun this weekend. No, the laundry, the dishes, the work, everything takes over. Plan and curate. You're like, well, that's not fun. Yes, you have to be disciplined to have fun, okay? You will have fun if you plan and make it intentional. Try a new restaurant, try a new neighborhood, meet a new person, try a new experience. But new is good for you. So those are the actions I want you to do. I want you to spend your money wisely, and I want you to add novelty into your life. So on our tabs, we got T, A, now B, our behaviors. I want you to be intentional about what behaviors we're going to create routines around. So within our behaviors, altruism. How can we be kind and give back to others? It directly correlates with our happiness. I've worked in the nonprofit sector. Let me be honest, when you go and volunteer at a nonprofit, you receive more happiness than the nonprofit. It's good for our souls, it's good for our hearts, it's good for our happiness. How can we give back? So one study showed that if you do 5 acts of happiness in 1 week, has a 3-month outcome on your happiness. Right? Financial folks are like, that's a really good ROI. How can we give back? Well, sometimes you're like, I don't have time for this commitment. Okay? This is an amazing app called Be My Eyes. And what it is, you download the app, and someone who is visually impaired has the ability to call someone to ask them certain things. So I have this on my phone. Hopefully it's not ringing right now. I get maybe 1 call a week, and they last 5 minutes. And the person on the phone will say, hey, will you help me read my mail? Will you help me look in my pantry and make sure my food's not expired? And other simple things. We hang up that 5-minute call, and let me tell you, I have a whole new perspective of from what I was doing. I'm instantly jolted into, I don't need to call someone or use an app to function throughout my day. I am grateful for what I have. This is something you can all download. It's called Be My Eyes. It's free. It's a great way to volunteer. I want to share with you a way in which I was impacted by someone who was kind. I moved to Nashville during the pandemic, and I had this lovely thing. Doesn't he look so happy and joyful? Right? It's not cute. He's cute now. He had a specific allergy that required a special formula. Well, this was during the formula crisis where I guess I was a little too naive. There were plenty of people on Facebook who said they were going to mail me formula and they took my money. There's some awful people out there. But I was desperate to feed my child, as we are as moms. So I went into my neighborhood Facebook group and said, hey, here's the formula I'm looking for. If you're at the grocery store, please let me know so I can go and get it. And there was one woman who I had never met who said, I'm going to get you formula. What? She called every grocery store in Nashville. Every grocery store. Got the manager's name and when their shipments came. And she had an Excel sheet like crazy. And she called and she got me 30 bottles and fed my kid for 3 months. I didn't know this woman. This is years later, and I still will forever remember that kindness. That was a lot for her to do it, but that was so unexpected, and I'm grateful for that. In a world that often shouts, kindness whispers and leaves the biggest impact. And sometimes a smile is all the kindness we have to give to someone else. In my pregnancy book, I do a lot of challenges that I want people to implement. And one challenge I have is to see how many people can smile back at you for the day. So I'm at this conference in Michigan, and I'm walking through the halls, and I'm smiling at people, and I'm counting. and I'm super weird. And they're like, but people smile back at you because they're like, I don't know what's wrong with their smile back. So I had to go back to my hotel and get something and come back. And you know when you feel like you're being watched or like followed? And I'm like, someone's following me, but I'm like, it is middle of the day. I'm fine. It's fine. Elle, you're fine. I was like, well, I think someone's about to mug me. And I'm like, I've been attempted to be mugged twice and then getting money. So I was like, this isn't going to be good for this person. So I turn around because there's someone following me. There were like 3 blocks now. And this person holds up a sign on a piece of paper. They had taken a piece of paper and wrote with a Sharpie, your smile made my day. The sweetest thing. Then I could see he had a hearing aid, and that he was hearing impaired. And so I signed, thank you. I also was like, I want to take a picture. This is my Love Actually moment. Like, this is my Love Actually moment. He must have watched the same movie. I was so tickled. It was years ago, and I still remember. I don't know his name. I don't know anything about him. He walked away. But my smile made his day enough that he wanted to make a sign and creepily follow me down the street. But it's been years later, and I'm sharing that story with everyone because that was impactful to me. Altruism and kindness will improve your happiness and help it become more contagious. So our next is our relationships. Gratitude is the easiest and fastest way to happiness. Relationships is the hardest. Like, let's be real. Relationships are hard. But relationships, deep, meaningful relationships, are vital to our happiness. So often we don't spend enough time and energy with those that we love. I go through my week, I'm like, I've got so many amazing friends. I'm like, who have I not called lately? Because I've been too busy. Who have I not spent time with? The longest happiness study, which is now 53 years, they studied married couples' health and happiness at 50. And they identified that those who had the happiest marriages at 50 had the highest health outcomes at 80. So it's not no longer happy wife, happy life. It's happy wife, longer life. I tell my husband all the time, do you want to die? No. Make me happy, okay? You will live longer. There's science to back this up. This is so important. We are in an isolation crisis in this country. People are lonely in marriages. People are lonely at work. People are lonely in a crowd. So I want you right now to text someone that you love. Get out your phone and text them that you love them. If you don't have someone to text, I can give you my phone number right now. I like a good emoji. And if you're texting and you're like, this is awkward, you're not doing it enough. We need to make it socially acceptable to tell people that we love them. Right? Luckily, I have some friends that are like, Elle's weird, but I'll text her back. I want them to know I care about them. Okay. Each night when you go to bed, I want you to think, did I have one meaningful conversation today? I'm getting bored with like the pleasantries of like, how's the weather? How's the drive? That's not connecting at a deeper level. I'm a fan of David Sedaris. He's a humor writer. He gets in an Uber and doesn't say, how's your day been? But he says, have you ever pet a monkey? And he said it leads to the most insightful conversations. I'm going to start doing that. If you chat with me after here, it may get awkward. Or really good. We don't know. But this is how we need to engage with others. How you start something determines how you finish it. In the morning, do you say, I get to? Do you say, I have to? I get to be here with y'all today. I have a family member who was supposed to be here who can't because of a medical emergency, who doesn't get to see me stand up here and speak. But I get to do this. Don't take any day for granted. I want to share a story with you. My last story. This is the YWCA Knoxville. I worked here for 8 years out of college. I got a full-time job offer before I graduated, so you say yes. I know one of your sessions earlier today talked about saying no. In my 20s, I said yes a lot. The YWCA's mission is to help women, and they have for over 100 years. This building was built in 1926, and it houses 58 women every night, women in need. Women who have 58 different stories. There are women who come from domestic violence, women who come from drug and alcohol treatment programs, some who've just made bad choices or had bad luck. We even had 18-year-olds who graduated out of the foster care system but were still in high school and were now homeless. So 58 women. I worked on that second story. There's my window right there. I was business operations, fund development, marketing, HR, IT. Yep, that's what happens when you work in a nonprofit and you have a business degree and the rest are all social workers. So I did a lot. My job was not to do therapy or social work with the women. So I didn't always know who I was in the hallway with. They could stay up to 2 years. I got to know a lot of them. Some shared their names. Some never made eye contact. But there was one woman specifically named Mama. That's what she wanted to be called? Cool. It was fitting. She was the light of that building. I could tell from her life that she had lived. You could see it on her face. But she was the most positive person I've ever met. She'd start each morning with, Elle, what do you need? You can do it. She loved a good mantra. She's very humorous, too. She supported all of the other women when they had bad days, and there were bad days. She was delightful. She was very motherly. She was furious when she found out I had gotten engaged and she had not met my fiance. She met him when he came to take me to lunch one day at work, and it was the only time I didn't see her smiling. She grilled him and then gave me the seal of approval. So I got Mama's seal of approval. Our local NPR station wanted to do a story about the women who lived at the YWCA. And I thought, for marketing and awareness and donations, this is great. So what we would do, we would change their name and their stories, their name and their voice for confidentiality. Confidentiality is so important. They said, Elle, we want you to interview her. I said, okay, great. I'm not a journalist, but I can interview. This would be great. I said, Mama, will you be someone who'd be willing to share their story? This would help a lot of people. She said, Elle, I'd do anything for you. I thought, she doesn't owe me anything. We sat down, and I said, let's start with your childhood. Tell me about your childhood. She said by the age of 7, she was sexually abused by every man who came to her home. Every one of them. I have a 7-year-old. She then struggled with relationships and drug and alcohol addiction. Who wouldn't? She had no self-esteem when she was younger. She lost custody of her children. She had a hard life. But can you imagine? Her 10% of her happiness was her circumstances, and that's what she was born into. That's what she was raised with. So what I learned from Mama, she continued to tell her entire story, and I can't unhear it. And I don't want to unhear it, because I'm grateful for what I have. I'm grateful that she poured into me. Whew, she's wonderful. The YWCA is wonderful. Please make a donation. When she lived the elements that I've talked about here today, she is grateful for every day that she gets up. She is grateful for what she has, and she doesn't have a lot. She's renting a tiny bedroom in a nonprofit. She's grateful. She uses positive thoughts and positive words. She learned to forgive herself. Man, that's hard. Forgiveness is hard. She forgave those who abused her. She uses humor, because I got to hear it a lot. She had a great sense of humor. She gave back to others, and she spent time intentionally on relationships. She's doing all these things, and she is one of the happiest people I've ever met. I do these interventions too. Sometimes I forget, sometimes I slip up, sometimes I go, oh, I should be doing more of these things. But let me tell you that if you do any of these things, you will have a more resilient heart, because I've seen it work. A happy heart is a resilient heart, ready to take on any challenge. There's 220 of us in this room today. If we can all do some of these interventions, even just one, we will become happier. Our families will become happier. Our workplaces and our communities will become happier. So I challenge you to do something to make you happy. And after this is lunch, I want you to have a meaningful conversation. So thank you so much.